he called me one day. He's like, bro, every venue was canceled. Like, we try to get you in like smaller venues to open up for some like other artists that they weren't even famous, but they had shows going on in Houston. And I was like, bro, like, what's going on? Like, I'm about to like get out of high school and do this. And so by the time I'm 18, moved down there, I guess my grandfather called the FBI tip because they thought I was getting human trafficked instead of signed to a label. So it was super. I'm taking it shoes again. See me on TV, I'm gonna make the news again. Call me the dawn, I'm wearing a cardigan. I got a shorty, but DEEPSIDE, bitch.
All right, Danny Riguez, man. Nice to have you on the podcast, man. How you doing today?
Good, bro. How you been, bro?
Man, I'm doing great. It's good to have you on. You know, I've been following you for a while. We actually did a song together for the people who don't know out at home. You know, this guy, he is in the Army. He's getting out soon, right?
No, actually, we
No.
got to cut back on that real quick. So I was going to get out, and then I decided, why not another 4? So, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, signed
Okay.
another 4 years. So I got another. So after this 6 months is done, I have another 3 years and like 6 months. So yeah,
Okay.
that's.
Well, where are you going?
I'm gonna stay here. I decided to stay in hood. I had some plays to make out here, so I was like, you know what, bro? I already got like room and board for
Hell
free,
yeah.
so it's like, why not just keep finessing what I had already? So,
Hell yeah. So for the people at home, you want to say where you're at right now, where you're from, things like that. Just give a little background about yourself.
so my name is Elijah Rodriguez. I am 22 years old. I'm from California. My family's from East LA. Kind of grew up, moved all around. We were poor, so we didn't really stay in one place more than like 9 months to a year at a time. So I just kind of been moving around, and then music didn't. I don't know. Got signed to a label at 17. Didn't really work out, so joined the army. So here I am, I guess.
Hell yeah. So
um,
what actually ended up happening with the label? How did that fall through?
so I guess we can backtrack back a little bit. So I had moved out my parents' house after some complications within, the household. So I moved out and spent my senior year with my aunt in Ontario, California. Sorry, I mean Fontana. Um, and that's when I kind of started shifting to what I wanted to do with my music because I used to make Christian hip hop because I used to live in a Christian household. So I like switched over, started making regular, never custom my music. And I got hit up by a label in November of 2018. Not hit up, but more I was like trying to DM a bunch of different labels to try to see if I can get signed because I was about to graduate high school. So I was trying to have a plan, a plan A to get out because I wasn't trying to go to college because I was never that type of person. I definitely wasn't trying to join the military.
Yeah, same.
So it was like, so we started having conversations and they offered me, they're like, well, we could help you, but we'll collect 25% or you could sign with us. And I was like, cool, like I'm totally down for it. And I got promised, the whole world as everybody was. And I didn't really see all the red flags going in. So I ended up recording about like 10 songs. I released a song called Skyline in 2019, I believe.
Good song, by
And
the
that
way.
song was a bop. It actually got edited. It got mixed and mastered with my EP called On the Way in Baron Studios in Houston. So it's funny because I have a 713 number and a lot of people always ask me why if I'm from Cali. So what ended up happening is I didn't have a phone number. I was broke. So I ended up, I got signed with another dude by the name of New King, aka Nuke Young. He was a Korean, actually he still is. He's a Korean artist out of Vancouver. And I guess he had an opportunity that came up and I was 18. I just turned 18. I was like, bro, you gotta take me with you, bro. And he was going to San Jose. It was like 8 hours for me. So I hopped on a mega bus. He paid like $38 for me to hop on a mega bus, which is like a Greyhound, but like shittier. So
Yeah.
so I hop on there with no Wi-Fi, no ID because I didn't have my birth certificate or my license because it was lost at the time. So I had a school ID on me and nothing else, just whatever was on my back and some ratchet ass clothes. And I went to San Jose. We met with these people by the name of like WSB. They're like some like financial pyramid scheme type stuff, and they wanted musicians to be able to do like marketing for them to be able to do
Mm.
it. And it was complete trash. But I got on a few of those songs that they had, and they wanted us to work for them. So we're like, whatever. So I'm in San Jose. I was living in Ontario at the time because when I was 18, on May 21st, on my birthday, I moved out and moved my other aunt. I was trying to get life on the road. Couldn't get a job. So I was like, bro, I'm just stuck. So I was like, all right, cool. So what ended up happening was we were in San Jose for about a month, did all this. They got us custom suits. We had a stipend and everything else. And my aunt had called me at the time, and she's like, your cousin's going through some tough times, so him and his family's gonna move in. And so there's no place for you here. And I hate to say that. And I love my aunt so much still. We don't have any issues, but it was just something that had to happen. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I'll figure it out. So I called my manager at the time, who was from the label, which was called it was called Urbanomics. They're not really around anymore. They kind
Mm-hmm.
of everybody kind of went their separate ways. So I was like, bro, I need a place to go. I don't have anything. So he booked me a flight. Actually, it wasn't him that booked me a flight. It was the WSB people. Bless their hearts. They were in a pyramid scheme, but they were still like some really good people, some really Christian loving people who really showed us some guidance on how to make money. And I moved to Houston. So just imagine though getting on TSA, trying to get through TSA on a flight with no ID. People thinking I
Yeah.
was 17 when I was 18. My bad. It says I had low battery.
No, you're good.
Trying to get on a flight. And then I'm just like, man, so I got patted down. They put like this like salt looking baking soda type stuff in my shoes that I was wearing. I was wearing like faded joggers with like a suit over, and I was just ghetto, just trying to travel. And I got promised, so we were supposed to do shows. I was supposed to go on tour. And then the funniest thing is that before I went on tour when I was 18, um, the FBI had called in. So somebody had put in like a tip to the FBI that I was getting. He called me one day. He's like, bro, every venue was canceled. Like, we try to get you in like smaller venues to open up for some like other artists that they weren't even famous, but they had shows going on in Houston. And I was like, bro, like, what's going on? Like, I'm about to like get out of high school and do this. And so by the time I'm 18, moved down there, I guess my grandfather called the FBI tip because they thought I was getting human trafficked instead of signed to a label. So it was super weird, but I mean, it's been years, so I was kind of just dropped under the table. So, anyways, I was just
Yeah.
promised like the whole world, like we're gonna put, they told me we're gonna put all this like $2,500 in each song for single marketing, which would have been phenomenal, by the way. Like I wouldn't be here right now if everything was promised.
Yeah.
And the other rapper, New King at the time, who we were like really close back in the day, we don't really talk anymore. He ended up hitting like he left the label. He was like, bro, you need to see it. But he always told me like your loyalty is your issue for staying with these people. Like you're about to go down with the ship. So for like 2 or 3 years, I was just with people like who never really did anything for me. Like I learned a little how to mix and master. We made some good songs and stuff, but like other than that, like I never really got paid royalties. I never got anything that a label provided. And I was kind of like, damn, like it was kind of my dream of doing it. And this was back in like 2018, 2019. So before like most people even started like rapping
Yeah.
that do
Yeah.
now. So then like I got really discouraged because I'm starting to see all these people come up and they're like, oh yeah, I started making music a year ago, bro, and I blew up. And I was like, bro, what am I doing wrong? And I also noticed like my way of networking is really weird because like I just don't like fucking with people like at all.
Yeah.
Because just after that whole experience and everything, like I look at people and I'm just like, bro, I really want to like spend my like waste my time because I don't know, you never know if tomorrow's gonna be your last day. So I really keep a small circle. But the whole label thing just didn't really work out. But I did get to go to Houston. Um, I never really did a show. I was supposed to do this like car show, and the car show had like 3 cars outside of it. And I still performed like the best of my ability. I did. And nothing really happened. Um, and then I got homesick, so I was like, I want to go back to Cali, which I really felt like I should have stayed in Houston because I really could have made something happen. But really, just the people that were behind me at that point were just they talked a lot more than what they did because they were talking like we were gonna have like get signed or the independent label was supposed to get signed to Universal,
Mm-hmm.
and I believed that. And then I get a call the
Mm.
next day, like, oh, by the way, the meeting's not happening. My manager at the time was like, oh yeah, because I went off on the dude, so he blacklisted me off of like all the network and everything. And I'm looking back on it like, bro, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. I used to make beats back in the day too. It's
Hmm.
funny saying back in the day, like it wasn't 5 years ago, but yeah, dude, I used to make beats like every day. I was making it like 2, 3 songs a day. I was recording at least 5 hooks a day. I was making like 2 or 3 beats a day. Like I was really on the grind for real. But like none of the stuff ever got finished.
Mm.
So it was kind of at a point where I just didn't really know what I was doing. Moved back home, finally started, talking to my parents again, moved back with them, then moved back with my grandmother. Started going to college, trying to still do this music thing. And a lot of like doors that I thought were opening for me were really never open to begin with. So trying to find a job again, going to college, collecting FAFSA money, buying a car, making terrible life decisions, um, getting a girl pregnant, and
Oh shit.
ultimately join the army.
Yeah. How
Because
did that come into play?
so the army, I told my uncle that I'd rather suck a dick before I join the army.
Yeah.
So I did not suck dick, but I definitely ended up joining the army because my stepfather had called me at the time. I was doing Uber and I was doing warehouse gigs like here and there and trying to do music. And I was just so in the fact that I was going to do music. And I was still with the label, by the way. Like I was still trying to make this stuff happen. And I turned down so many opportunities because the label was like, yeah, you shouldn't do it. And I feel like the reason they were telling me I shouldn't do it was because they didn't want me realizing that like they were just holding me down and controlling me. It was like
Hmm.
some weird like manipulation type thing. And like we weren't making money anyways, but I think they were hoping to make money off me at the time.
Yeah, probably.
And then they realized like, oh wow, well, the kid's just not gonna blow up overnight, so we're just gonna do it. But like dude, at 17, bro, like I was making like good ass music,
Yeah.
and I still believe that, bro. Like, but it's bittersweet when I listen back to old music, and like I can't even access the royalties on my like on at least like 10 songs.
Oh, really?
No, for real. So anywhere from like Tacos, the song I made called Tacos from like the On the Way the EP with Skyline was the first song that went on Spotify or that's on Spotify at the moment. I don't collect any of the royalties from there.
Mm.
So I had hit them up and asked them for it, and then they were kind of like, you should have access to it. And I was like, bro, I've never had access to it. I was like, I feel like there should be something because some of my songs caught algorithm after like years of being released and they caught an algorithm on it. So I was like, I
Mhm.
should really collect like maybe 100, $200 at least.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
So,
Man, that sucks.
dude, I was just kind of looking at it like I was getting all these interviews. Like before that comedian Teddy Ray died, like I sat next to him like in this interview that he was in, and I used to know the DJ by the name of DJ Real Show, and he used to invite me to LA to go with Craig Smith from BET, and I used to be in those interviews. I was in two of them, and I freestyled for I believe both of them, and they were pretty shitty ass freestyles, but that's not the point here. But
Nah, I
yeah,
feel
like
you.
it was people were a lot of people were always like, "Oh yeah, bro, you're gonna make it." I don't know why you ever joined the army, but bro, like I wasn't making money, bro. Like I wasn't doing anything. Even the people that I thought were like really successful, like some of them ended up like they stopped making like 2018 to 2019 was a really like crucial year for a lot of artists.
It
Like it
was a
was either
weird
like you
year.
were gonna stay up or you were just gonna crash down. Cause
Yeah,
like there's some
I
artists I talk
remember.
to now. There was an artist I totally forgot what his name was. That's how irrelevant this man was. That he became, but he made a song called "Like You," and I really liked it when I was like 14.
Hmm.
So he ended up following me on Instagram. And then he was like trying to like connect and stuff and do all this stuff, but he was being cheap. And I was like, bro, like what happened? And then he was like, oh yeah, like I ghosted for Bankroll Hayden. And he's like, I spent all my time doing that, thinking he was gonna bring me up and then left me in the dirt. So then that was kind of when I revealed like I was like, man, like there's so many people. Like it's funny though, like when Bankroll Hayden was rapping, like me and him had started rapping like around the same time. And then Bankroll Hayden, like probably well, actually he's probably just not trying to say he's irrelevant, but like everybody will have like a few
He
years to
fell off.
go.
He fell off.
No,
I
I
don't
don't really
know.
like saying that because eventually some rapper finna see this. But now
Yeah.
I'm in Killeen, Texas now, right? So I every time I go to a new place, I like to explore the new types of rappers, and it's so toxic here. Like
Have you heard
every
the
rapper
chopped and
likes to.
screwed?
No, that's more like Houston. So
Yeah.
Killeen's more like Central Texas has a whole different type of
I've
sound.
I've I'm from West Texas, so I've been up to Killeen. I've been to
Yeah,
for
there's not
you.
a lot of chopped and screwed out here as you would think like
Yeah,
anymore. Like
it,
2023 is whole different. Like I have a song with multiple clean artists, bro,
mhm.
and like we still haven't released anything.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy the culture out there because it's a lot of it's very diverse in Texas. Like a lot of people
I
don't realize that like you have like trap and then you have like the chopped and screwed and there's a lot of history with it. But
yeah, there's not a lot of chopped and screwed out here anymore like that on here. It's more like it's like trap. Like a lot of people doing like the South Side sound, but not even like the Texas type. More like the ATL type music out here now. They're just doing
mm,
kind of whatever's trendy. And then every like central clean rapper just beasts with each other. And then
yeah,
like I don't know who any of these dudes are. And I'm not trying to diss anybody, but it's kind of like, bro, like, I don't understand why anybody's beef with anybody. And then you got like dudes, and the only way to like diss back is, they be just like flexing dollars and stuff. Like I don't know who any of these dudes are, and I be trying to connect with them, but everybody seems to have beef with somebody. So
hmm
it's like I can't connect with any of y'all because if one of y'all gets successful, then I end up beefing with the other person, and I just get screwed over. So I'm just really like close. Like I'll be with Take K's engineer is actually lives out here.
Oh,
The one
really?
who engineered for the race.
Yeah.
He lives out here. He's like a super good friend of mine. His name's
Hell
What's
yeah.
Happening, Steve. So he used to have his tag on the song, like for his engineer tag that he has on all of them. So I came across him on Instagram like randomly, and I was like trying to connect. And he had a mixer, like a hip hop mixer. He was supposed to go to Austin. His car had broke down. So he texted me. He's like, "Bro, you trying to go out there?" And I was like, "Yeah, like let's go right now." And he was like, "Oh shit, like you're serious?" I was like, "Yeah." So I like connected with him. He showed me everything. Dude has been mixing for like Colleen. Like he's been representing Colleen since like, bro, the dude's probably like 30. So he never likes to reveal his age, but I know he's in his like mid 30s.
Yeah.
Dude has been doing this in the game forever, bro.
Yeah,
And
he's an
that's all he's
OG.
ever done for his work was like engineering. So like I
Yeah.
got to meet a lot of the OGs in Colleen and stuff, and it's been super cool. But it's like the community itself out here is just not. They're not together. Like everybody knows everybody, but they don't do anything. Like I feel like they're kind of still stuck in the fact that everybody thinks they finna make
Y-
it. It realizes like I
Yeah,
think
that
my
was
issue is realizing that having a network of different rappers at the same time
mhm.
is what came up. Because you'd be surprised, like how like Slump God and XXXTentacion and Juice World and all them, they really all came up together.
They were all connected. And that was a big thing that I was trying to do back in West Texas before I left. I was trying to network with all the rappers in my
But
city
see,
and
like
try to make
everybody's
something
like
happen.
really they're closed. Like a lot of people
Yeah,
be closed minded.
that's exactly why I left, and then yeah, when I left it was like a lot of the people, they weren't connecting. You had some guys who were on like Elevator in my
Yeah,
hometown, and they were like the big rappers. Everybody knew who they were. But then there was a bunch of us smaller guys. I was probably, like top five because my town was so small. And so I was trying to bring everyone together, but everybody just ended up leaving. A lot of those small towns, except for,
because everybody wants to leave to go to something better, and then realizes like they could have done something in their own town. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like the
it's hard to
funniest
make
story
it.
was like Jack Harlow, right? Jack
Yeah.
Harlow came out of Louisville, Kentucky, right? So when you think about it, like you don't really hear of a lot of rappers coming out of it that be repping
Mm-mm.
Louisville, Kentucky like that since
Nah.
like the early 2000s. But I'm not trying to say like I know all the rap history at all, but that's what I noticed. Like, dude be repping Kentucky real hard, bro. You don't really hear
Yeah.
people doing all that.
But I've noticed with these guys, where you have situations like Drake, putting on for Toronto, The Weeknd putting on for Toronto, Jack Harlow putting on for Louisville. Even if you go back to NWA type days where they were just representing Compton, right? And a lot of these
Compton
cities,
was nothing back then.
yeah,
So
it's nothing. But whenever all the artists come together and start to make a movement, put on, and try to get that unity, that's typically when things start to take off. Even that happened in Florida whenever X and Ski and all of them, are coming up Broward County DeepSide. That's where I got
yeah,
my name. So,
that's
you
how
know,
like it's the equivalent to like when people come up with rap names, right? People are like, dude, that sounds so fucking stupid. Like,
yeah,
whoever thought the name Eminem was
yeah,
gonna be something? Like, they're like,
yeah,
bro, that shit sounds fucking stupid.
yeah,
And
literally.
then it's really just making a name for something, right? So I think I went through like 10 rap names over like
Oh,
five
really?
years before I figured out like Danny Riguez. Because Danny Riguez is not my real name.
Yeah, I didn't
So
know that.
when a lot of people think that I have a like met that I buy the meta check mark, I don't. And then they're like, well, yeah, well, your name's Danny Riguez, so that's your real name, right? I was like, no, bro. Like, my name's
Yeah,
Elijah Daniel Rodriguez.
that's
That's not my real
crazy.
name. My ID literally says Elijah Daniel Rodriguez. And they're like, oh,
That's
that's
crazy.
weird. I was like, yeah. So one of my goals was to get verified on Instagram and to hit over 10K. And I did all that. So I was like,
Hell yeah.
that's cool. But then once I got it, I was just like,
I
damn.
got you.
Like,
Yeah.
and then it's like once I got it, then they're like, by the way, here's Meta. So that nobody thinks anybody with a check mark is valid anymore. So it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, I remember when I met you, man. I was like, this guy is actually fucking verified. I'm talking to him. That's fucking crazy. Because Meta hadn't come out yet. So it was like one of those things where it's like, you
Yeah, it
know,
says on my thing like when I got verified. So people will
y-
be like, "Oh, you've been like you haven't been verified that long." I was like, "No, it says January of was it 2020 was it 2020 2022?"
yeah.
So they
Because I
didn't start
remember,
pushing out any of that stuff till what? Like March?
yeah.
Yeah, of
Because,
this year. So it was like, yeah, dude, like I figured out the game. I figured out what I had to do, met the right people, networked, figured out what it was, the requirements. I used to sell the articles in the publishing to
yeah.
help people get verified. So I've been knowing the game. Like that's how I made like my side dough was off like help people get that.
All right. So I did have a question I did want to ask you because you're the only other artist I've met in the military who's good. You know what I mean? I've met a lot of people who are like rappers, but they didn't actually have a career outside of it. So for me, one of the hardest fucking things I think I went through, just doing music and everything was boot camp where, you're just sitting there and you're not able to really work on anything that you're really passionate about. So you're just getting yelled at, things like that. I kind of wanted to know kind of about that experience for you, being away from the music type of
You
thing.
you
Like, how
you
did
want
you
to
deal
know
with that?
what my solution was at that time?
Yeah.
In July of 2020, I released my last album. And that's what it was, my last album. I was quitting music. I finished all the features. I was able to pay off like all the bills, like for my phone and stuff that I had before I left. And I was quitting music. The album Heartbreaker, which was like kind of poorly mixed, but like well put together, was my last album that I made that I thought that I was gonna finish before I joined the military. Because I thought once I joined the military that my life in music was over.
Yeah.
I had no plans of continuing music. So when I joined the military, I was like, this is it. And then so that was my solution. Like I was just like, damn, I have nothing left. And that was it. And then I get to AIT and AIT was trash. I didn't have any of my equipment. So I was like, all right, well. But I was like so hungry for it again.
Yeah.
And that's what I miss, like being gone for so long and not having the option to do it made me make some of the best music I think I had ever made. And then I went to Korea and I was like, nah, bro, I'm not gonna do it here. And then I was like, fuck it. I went and bought this microphone, went and bought a laptop, went and bought a bunch of studio equipment again. I was like, we finna start over
Yeah.
again and did it. And then I made some good music again. And I was on the road for like a good like year and met
Hell
some
yeah.
really great people that I still have around me. And my life had changed. And I was like, this is awesome. And then I come back to the States and I'm like, bro, like I miss being overseas again because the inspiration that I had doing
It's
music
crazy.
was just so different. Like I made Soul Vibes, Gemini, Temporary Luxuries, so many other songs that never got released. Like my Rocketeer remix, drill type that I had, like, dude, and 314 probably changed my life.
Mm.
I
How
threw
so?
like I threw so much promo on there. Like I figured out how to like run ads. Gemini, we had a whole video made for it, but instead of doing a whole video, I just took clips and put it on Instagram, and then people were like vibing with it. So I would walk in Seoul, like I'd be walking in Korea, and people would be like, "Oh, I know you from TikTok," and I didn't have a lot of TikTok followers, but I just knew how to like finesse it. And my Snapchat like world thing, like my spotlight thing, was getting like views. So I had over like 300,000 views on my Snapchat like
That's crazy.
so like that was my overall. So I was getting like 4,000. Then I was walking in like the Ville in Korea once, and somebody was like, "Oh, I know you." And then my NCO started like fucking with me every day. Every day I
Oh,
go to work,
really?
even today. There's some dumbass. One of my dumbass homies will always be like, "Oh, is that Danny Riguez on Apple Music?" And then once he says out loud, people will get interested. So then like I look at numbers on Spotify and like SoundCloud and Apple Music, and there's like, oh, by the way, there's like listeners in Colleen now. So yeah, it's kind of like
That's
people
so
are always
cool.
like, bro, why didn't you continue? But a lot of people who've been following me for the last 5 years are like, bro, I feel like you kind of just like gave up. And I was like, it's not that I gave up. It's just like I had adulthood to deal with. I still make music, but I'm still trying to find what I want to do because I really want to shift to like soul and R&B, but then I can do alternative. And then I was just like, man, I'm really just kind of do everything. So I'm like in the experimenting phase for like the last like year and a half, but I think it's time to
Yeah,
really stick to one type of thing. And that's really how your marketing will go. And I think that was my issue with branding is I didn't really have like a solid thing for branding. I just kind of did whatever. So I don't know, man. I'm kind of in a gray area. It's like I did so much more than anybody else has done, but I haven't done enough. So that's
yeah.
kind of where
You're
I'm
still
at.
hungry for it.
It's not even hungry anymore, bro. Like I'm tired. Like that's really what it
Yeah.
was. Like I'm tired, bro. I didn't feel like the music that I was making was as inspirational as it once was.
Mhm.
So yeah, I re-signed on the military. A lot of people thought like, oh, why did you get out? I was like, bro, are you gonna pay my bills for the rest of my life or what?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I was like, bro, like I've already seen what I'm able to do and still make music in here. Like I already know how this is gonna work. Yeah, like
Yeah.
going, leaving for 9 months, that shouldn't even be an issue. You should already have enough content planned out in advance so you can do it. And it's funny because the last music video I ever actually released was 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
That's where I'm lacking now is because I don't get enough music videos done.
Mm.
So that's probably
So
where I've been lacking. Then Instagram be shadow banning me for like reposting military videos or something like that, and then I get shadow banned. So my algorithm doesn't go out to non-followers. So I've really been kind of stuck in a phase. But I have that check mark, so I'm like, I don't want to get rid of this account and start over. So I'm just kind of been arguing with Instagram. So I really just
yeah.
haven't been doing anything until they release my stuff, and then probably just go ham again. So just working on content again. It's kind of where I'm at. Just kind of just testing the waters again.
Hell yeah. So we are running out of time. So I guess my last question for you would really be, where do you see yourself, Danny Riguez in 10 years? You see yourself still being in the army, or you think you're gonna get out, if things go well? Like for the future, like what are your plans?
Dude, 10 years is so far ahead when you like it's really not that far because the
Uh-huh.
last 4 years have gone by very quick.
Mm.
Um Hopefully probably have a family and be married, finally be able to like settle down and stop being a dick. Maybe a couple more tattoos, maybe more music, who knows? I could be signed. But 10 years from now, bro, I'm gonna be considered old.
Yeah.
Like I'm already coming to like once you hit 25 in music, bro, you're really considered old. Like in mainstream music, like you have a prime that you're in, bro. And once you get too old, a lot of people don't want you anymore. So in 10 years, like I really hope I'm a lot more mature and I'm more financially stable. And if I'm making music, I'm making music, but I think my goal is to probably help younger artists to not make the same mistakes and not waste time like I did.
Mm.
So, who knows? I mean, 10 years is pretty far ahead. 5 years. But I really feel like I accomplished a lot of things, but there's still a few things I want to accomplish within the next 10 years. So probably get
Hell yeah.
at least like maybe an album on the Billboard, maybe release the actual album. I don't know, man. Just figure out something. I don't know. There's so many possibilities and so many different kinds of pathways that I could take. I don't know, man. I think maybe just not being as arrogant as I had used to be and just be a lot more humble and be more open minded to opportunities instead of kind of just shutting them out and networking a lot better within the next 10 years because networking is for everything. It doesn't matter what you do career wise or anything. Like networking is such a big thing. So just making as much money as possible, not being greedy, raising a family, having a couple kids, probably who are going to be in middle school by that time. So, we'll see. You know.
Hell yeah. So you got anything else you want to say to the people before we wrap up, man? Anything you want to shout out? Any shout outs?
I'm not going to be corny and say follow your dreams because sometimes your dreams are meant to stay dreams because like
Yeah.
just be I think people need to just be reasonable with themselves about what they could do because if you get stuck doing one thing like trying for one thing knowing that you're gonna a lot of people say just keep going until you fail, but sometimes you just gotta take a, you gotta take a step back and reevaluate because you only live once and you need to figure out how to make the best of your life decisions. So, music, music isn't for everybody. I'm not gonna say I'm finna make it because it's not that I have doubt. It's just that, dude, you're competing against so many different people. But I definitely, I regret nothing. So that's really the best thing. I'm not gonna say chase your dreams, but I'm gonna say just live life and regret nothing. Just learn from your mistakes and move on and make better decisions. So that's about it. You know,
All
just
right.
keep grinding. That's it.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast, man. I really appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Uh, I think we got some really good stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. But yeah, thank you to everybody watching. If you are watching, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. Also check out Danny on Instagram. I have his Instagram like down like this way, somewhere around there. So it should be easy to find. I'll got him linked down below. So should be easy. But yeah, man, appreciate you. And appreciate you guys at home, man. Stay blessed.
Anytime. Thank you for having me on, big dog. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.